Discover the incredible transformation of a lazy boy. How 30 days changed his life forever. Caleb Thompson was stuck. At 24, he was known as the lazy boy in his small Midwestern town, a label that weighed heavier with every passing day. He dropped out of college and found himself drifting aimlessly, caught in a world that seemed to keep moving without him. On warm summer evenings, while families gathered for barbecues, he lingered on the sidelines, unable to shake the feeling of being trapped. But then a storm hit. It wasn't just any storm. It wreaked havoc, shaking the entire community to its core. Trees uprooted, houses shattered, and lives turned upside down. As Caleb watched from the comfort of his home, the spirit of the town ignited. Neighbors came together, armed with hammers and nails, determination shining in their eyes. Veterans shared laughter with kids, and struggling families lent hands to one another, putting broken lives back together. The air buzzed with camaraderie, repairing not just houses, but fostering a feeling of unity that brought warmth even on the darkest days. Caleb's heart ached. He felt it before he could name it, a stirring in his soul, a sense of longing to be part of that change. But then came the deafening silence of that unspoken confrontation with his mother, Mary. Sitting at the kitchen table, her eyes spoke volumes. "I'm just so disappointed in you, Caleb," she finally said, her voice trembling with the weight of unfulfilled hopes and dreams. The words hit him like a punch to the gut. The realization that he had let her down struck deep, slicing through layers of apathy. The truth bubbled up like an unwelcome guest, squeezing the air from his lungs. He wasn't just disappointing himself. He was failing her too. Before he knew it, Caleb made a decision. He would dedicate the next 30 days to changing his life. Every bit of energy he had left would be poured into helping to rebuild the town he had taken for granted. It wasn't just a promise. It was a lifeline, a chance to reconnect with a community that had kept its door open even when he hadn't knocked. The first day wasn't easy. Working alongside a grizzled veteran named Hank, Caleb learned how to swing a hammer and measure in ways that seemed daunting at first. They laughed over mismeasured wood and sighed over the sweat that soaked their shirts. Hank shared stories of pride, service, and the importance of standing by your community. There was raw honesty there, bandaging old wounds and offering hope. Just when it started to feel like he belonged, doubt crept back in. Had he stretched himself too thin? Was he really cut out for this? In a moment of weakness, he considered retreating to the safety of his old habits. Then he received a call from the single mother of 3, Clara, who had lost everything. Her fierce spirit and willingness to keep fighting for her kids ignited a fire within him. They worked side by side, restoring not just structure but also sacred space for heartache to heal. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the days passed, Caleb pushed his body and spirit to their limits. He felt different, a flicker of hope amidst the fatigue. Just when he thought he could overcome anything, a significant setback struck. An injury during a community cleanup forced him to the sidelines, and with it, shadows of self-doubt rained down, reminding him of his past failures. Would he ever escape the label of lazy boy? The storm had stripped the town bare, but as calm replaced chaos, he stood at a crossroads of his own. The community finally saw the man he was becoming, but within him, a question loomed. Would he dare let go of who he once was? With the weight of expectation pushing down, he realized this was more than just rebuilding a town. This was about finding his place and proving to himself that he was worth more than his mistakes. Caleb winced as he carefully wrapped a bandage around his sprained wrist. The ache was sharp, but it was the disappointment that cut deeper. He had gone out there with a new sense of purpose, ready to contribute, only to be sidelined just when he felt he was making progress. He sat at the edge of the porch, staring out over the yard full of scattered debris and reminders of all the work yet to be done. Each nail driven, each beam lifted, felt like a step in reclaiming his identity. Now, he had to sit back and watch as others moved forward without him. "Hey buddy, you good?" Hank's voice broke through the silence. The older man was carrying a load of wooden planks toward the makeshift community center they were building together. He paused, sensing Caleb's hesitation. "Just a little setback," Caleb muttered, forcing a smile that felt heavy on his face. "I thought I was doing so well." Hank nodded, understanding. "I get it. Sometimes life hits you with a curveball. But you know what? Rest is just as important as work. Take a breather and come back stronger." As much as Caleb wanted to scoff at the cliché, he felt a flicker of appreciation. It wouldn't be the end of his journey. It was simply a detour. Later that afternoon, while the sun cast long shadows across his yard, Caleb scribbled in his journal a new habit he'd picked up to process the whirlwind of changes. The words flowed freely, spilling out hopes, fears, and reflections on what had been and what was yet to come. He poured his heart onto the page, wrestling with doubt and nurturing a growing flame of desire to break free from the label clinging to him. Just as he was lost in thought, his phone buzzed beside him. It was Clara. "We're gonna need all hands on deck for the next few days. We're starting a painting project at the center. Can you still help out?" Caleb hesitated. He didn't want to disappoint her with his injury but felt the urgency in her message. The need for community spirit stronger than ever. "Yeah, I'll be there," he replied, resolving to find a way to contribute, even if it was just picking up brushes instead of hammers. The next day he arrived, his arms still wrapped but determination igniting his movement. They painted the building bright colors, transforming a stark structure into a beacon of hope. Laughter and singing filled the air as neighbors came to lend a hand. It was infectious, pulling Caleb in deeper, erasing the remnants of fear that had lingered in the back of his mind. "Look at this place," Clara exclaimed, stepping back to admire their progress. Before the storm, it was just a rundown old space. Now look at it full of life. As they worked, Caleb began to understand that being part of this effort wasn't just about labor. It was about collaboration and exchange of strength and vulnerability shared amongst neighbors. Just like his injuries would heal, so would the scars left from the storm, not just on the town but within himself. But as the paint dried, so did his growing concerns. With every cheerful brushstroke, the looming question returned. Who would he be once the work was complete? Would he slip back into his old habits, mask the growth with the familiar cloak of complacency? That evening, after a long day of progress, he found himself staring into the mirror, searching for the man he wished to become. Just then, a thought struck him. What if he could channel everything he had learned into something bigger than himself? What if he could inspire not just the community but also himself to keep striving, to never again settle for the lazy boy image he had carried for far too long? As hope battled fear within him, he closed his eyes. The road ahead was uncertain, but there was one way to find out what he was truly made of. Just then, a loud knock echoed through his door, jerking him back to the present. Who could be visiting him now? With his heart racing, he opened the door to face a surprise that would change everything. Caleb opened the door slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. Standing there was a tall figure shrouded in a light rain jacket, droplets running off the brim of a baseball cap. It was Tom, an old friend from high school, someone he hadn't seen in years. A myriad of memories rushed through him, most of them tied to days spent goofing off rather than taking life seriously. "Hey, Caleb. Long time no see." Tom's smile was infectious, and for a brief moment, Caleb felt the weight of his struggles lift. "Tom, wow, it's been 5 years?" he said, stepping aside to let him in. They settled into the cramped living room, and Tom wasted no time diving into conversation. "I heard about what happened with the storm. That is tough, man. But I've seen your updates. You're really putting in the work." Caleb scratched the back of his head. "Trying to. Has been a challenge." Tom leaned forward, his expression shifting to something earnest. "Listen, I wanted to catch up because I've been doing some soul-searching myself. After college, I went through some rough patches. I made a lot of bad choices, some painful lessons. But I found something that turned it all around. Caleb laughed lightly. Let me guess. You found yourself in yoga classes? Ha! Not quite, Tom replied with a hearty chuckle. I started volunteering at a local shelter. It opened my eyes. I realized I could either wallow in what I wasn't doing, or I could dive in and help others. It changed my perspective. Caleb listened intently, feeling a strange sense of hope wash over him. Could he, too, turn his situation into something meaningful? That's amazing, Tom. I've been trying to pull myself together after everything that happened. I get it, Tom said, his voice steady. But you can't always carry that load alone. You've got to let others in. That's what community is for. As they talked, Caleb felt a spark igniting inside him, a desire to evolve beyond the old labels, beyond the injury that currently held him back. It was time to shake off the past and embrace change. So, what do you want to do next? Tom prompted, breaking Caleb's contemplation. I want to lead something. I want to create a program or a movement that inspires others to change, just like we have. I don't want it to stop at this community center. The words flowed effortlessly as each flicker of inspiration grew in Caleb's chest. Tom's eyes lit up. That's the spirit. Why don't we organize a community event? We can bring everyone together, music, food, maybe some workshops on what we've learned through this whole experience. Make it a celebration of resilience. Caleb's heart raced. The thought of taking action ignited a passion he hadn't felt in years. Yeah. We can showcase local talents, share stories of recovery. It could be amazing. Their ideas bounced off one another like a wild spark in a dry field. Excitement bubbled up, and for every thought, more possibilities unfolded. As darkness fell outside, Caleb glanced at the paintings still wet on the center walls. He could envision the outcomes of their efforts growing bigger, turning into something much more than just a building. We should do it soon, he said decisively. Tom nodded eagerly, already mapping out logistics in his mind. Let's make this happen, Caleb. But first, you need to tell Clara. She'll definitely want to be involved. Suddenly, Caleb's chest tightened with nerves. Could he really take that step? Could he lead something like this? With uncertainty lingering in his gut, he realized the very act of taking charge was what would help him grow. He could no longer remain confined to his past. Okay, I'll talk to her, Caleb said, sealing his vow. It's time for change. As Tom left with a firm handshake and an encouraging smile, Caleb felt the weight of potential lifting him. Maybe he was ready to leap into the unknown. But as he picked up his phone to text Clara, another thought jolted him. What if she didn't share his vision? What if she disagreed? His fingers hovered over the screen as doubt crept back in, threatening to dampen his newfound enthusiasm. Would he get the chance to enact his dreams, or would this road lead to more stumbling blocks? He took a deep breath, the ongoing transformation within him just beginning to reveal itself. One way or another, he knew this was only the beginning of something much larger than himself. Caleb paced back and forth in the dim light of his living room, uncertainty swirling in his mind like storm clouds ready to burst. He could almost hear the faint echoes of laughter from high school. They felt like a lifetime away. The weight of his decision pressed down on him. Could he really approach Clara with this idea? Would she laugh it off, or worse, see him as the same person he used to be? His phone buzzed in his hand, a startled reminder of reality. It was a message from Clara. Hey, can we talk later? Need to go over some things. He took it as a good sign. Maybe it was the perfect opportunity to share his vision, to pull her into this wave of excitement that had ignited in him. Okay, Caleb. Deep breath, he muttered under his breath, trying to steady his racing heart. He imagined the community event, the faces of neighbors mingling, the laughter echoing through the center. What if it turned out better than he could hope for? What if this spark could ignite something more in others too? Later that evening, when Clara arrived, Caleb found himself fidgeting with a paintbrush, the remnants of his earlier project still evident on the bristles. Hey, Clara. Thanks for coming, he said, forcing a smile. Of course. I wouldn't miss it, she replied, her eyes scanning the room. Looks like you've been busy. Yeah, Thought I'd try to spruce up the place a bit. He hesitated, trying to wrap his head around how to begin. So, I've been thinking. Clara took a seat, her expression turning serious. About what? About doing something big for the community. I want to host an event. A celebration, maybe? Something that brings people together, showcases local talent, and tells stories of resilience. The words tumbled out in a rush, each one accompanied by a pulse of adrenaline. What kind of talent? She asked, her brow raising slightly in curiosity. Music, art, stories, anything. I think we could create workshops or sessions to inspire people like us, to show how we've grown from our toughest times. As he spoke, Caleb felt the weight of his insecurities lifting ever so slightly. Clara leaned forward, her interest piqued. That sounds amazing, actually. We need more of that around here. But are you sure you're ready to take something like this on? It sounds like a big responsibility, she said, caution creeping into her voice. That was the moment Caleb dreaded. What if she backed out, or worse, what if she didn't see his potential? I feel ready, he admitted, meeting her gaze. This is my chance to show that I've changed and that I can contribute. I want to be part of the solution instead of just watching from the sidelines. Her expression softened, and he could see she was weighing his words carefully. You've really thought this through, haven't you? I have, he replied, feeling a sense of determination emerging. Tom and I were talking, and it just clicked. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about all of us. About a way to connect and heal together. Silence hung between them for a moment, thick with possibilities. Then Clara smiled, her features lighting up like the first rays of dawn breaking through the night. I'm in, she said firmly. Let us do this together. Relief washed over Caleb, and a newfound energy filled the room. They began brainstorming ideas, laughter spilling out between them as they mapped their vision. But even as excitement grew, Caleb sensed the doubts still lurking within him. Was this really possible? What if it turned out to be more than he could handle? Later that evening, as they wrapped up, Clara looked at Caleb through bright eyes. We'll need all hands on deck. Everyone will want to be involved. Caleb nodded, but a fleeting thought crossed his mind. What if his connection with everyone faltered as they ventured into this new project? As he lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, he felt the shadows creeping back, whispering doubts of failure. But then he remembered Clara's encouraging smile and Tom's relentless optimism. Somewhere in that tangled mix of hope and fear, he knew a critical moment was building. Would he embrace this opportunity for growth, or would he falter before it even began? The answer loomed, and Caleb was ready to face it. Caleb woke with the dawn, sunlight filtering through the curtains like golden threads weaving through his thoughts. The excitement of the previous night still lingered, igniting hope deep within him. He envisioned the community event, families laughing, friends reconnecting, artists showcasing their work under sparkling lights. Pushing aside the lingering doubts, he hopped out of bed and grabbed his phone to start organizing his thoughts. He created a list of potential activities he wanted to include: live music, storytelling sessions, a local art exhibit. Each idea filled him with exhilaration. But then, a thought struck him like a thunderclap. What if nobody showed up? As he brewed his morning coffee, Caleb's mind raced. Would the townsfolk really rally around this initiative? What if they dismissed his efforts as just another fleeting idea? Clenching the counter with his hands, he felt a wave of anxiety swell within him. Caleb, a voice called from outside. It was Tom, his neighbor and childhood friend, waving from the porch. Stepping outside, Caleb couldn't help but smile at the familiar sight. Tom's contagious energy had always been a balm for his worries. Hey man, what's up? Caleb greeted, a grin breaking across his face. Just wanted to check in. Heard you're planning something big for the community. Tom's tone was enthusiastic, his eyes shining with excitement. Caleb couldn't resist sharing his ideas. As he spoke, he felt his nerves subside, replaced by a burgeoning sense of purpose. I'm thinking of an event that celebrates our stories, our talents. Just something to bring everyone together. Tom's face lit up. That sounds phenomenal. Count me in. I can help with the music, I know a ton of local bands that would be interested. Caleb's heart raced. Really? You think they'd want to play? Absolutely. This is the kind of vibe our town needs. We can even get a sponsor or two involved. The thought sparked a flicker of inspiration. As they discussed details filled with excitement, Caleb felt something shift. With Tom's help, they could make this vision a reality. He scribbled notes furiously, every idea illuminating possibilities before them. Yet, even in the whirlwind of enthusiasm, doubt gnawed at his gut. What if they couldn't pull it off? What if the lack of involvement left him exposed? Are you okay? Tom asked, sensing the shift in Caleb's mood. Yeah, just wondering if anyone will really show up. What if it all falls flat? Hey, listen, Tom said, clasping his shoulder firmly. You're not alone anymore. You're doing this with Clara and me. We've got your back. Caleb felt a warmth spread through him. The support from his friends gave him strength. You're right. Together we can do this. With renewed energy, they dove back into planning. They discussed venues, potential dates, and outreach strategies to draw the community in. Each idea birthed more ideas, and Caleb felt the pulse of excitement beat steadily in time with his racing heart. As the sun climbed higher, the air filled with laughter and determination. Caleb even began reaching out to other community members, inviting them to take part in something larger than themselves. The responses were overwhelmingly positive, surging through him with hope. But a deeper fear lingered in the shadow of his mind. Was he truly capable of leading this initiative? Later that evening, as he sat with Clara and Tom again, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change both within him and in the community. Here's to new beginnings. Clara raised her glass, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Caleb's heart swelled, but deep down, that nagging question remained. What if the real challenge lay ahead, when they finally put their plans into action? As they celebrated the shared vision, Caleb felt a mix of hope and trepidation. But he decided then and there he wouldn't back down. This was his moment. Little did he know that the road ahead would test not only his courage but also the bonds of friendship that had grown stronger amid the uncertainties. Would they be able to weather the storm together, or would the cracks begin to show in their dreams? The next morning brought with it an energy that Caleb couldn't quite explain. The sun poured in through the kitchen window as he busied himself with breakfast, the smell of eggs mixing with the aroma of fresh coffee. His phone buzzed beside him, making his heart leap in anticipation. Clara had sent him a message asking to meet for coffee. After swallowing the last bite of his toast, he grabbed his keys and headed out. The little cafe on Main Street always buzzed with life, and today was no exception. As he walked in, he spotted Clara at their usual table, a bright smile lighting up her face. Hey you, she beamed, waving him over. I'm excited to talk about the event. Caleb slid into the seat across from her, his hands clammy with a mixture of excitement and nerves. Yeah, me too. Tom and I were brainstorming last night. Clara leaned in close, her eyes sparkling. I talked to a few people. They're interested. We could have a community art section where locals can showcase their work. His heart raced at her words. Really? That's amazing. He could already picture the vibrant colors and creative expressions coming to life. For a moment, it felt as if the pieces were finally falling into place. The conversation flowed easily as they shared new ideas: food trucks offering local eats, a storytelling corner where elders could share their tales, even a raffle to raise funds for the community center. But then, a familiar ache of self-doubt crept in. What if no one shows up for any of this? He asked, unable to contain the concern bubbling inside. Clara reached across the table. Caleb, we can't think that way. What matters is that we are making people aware of the event. We have to believe it will rally the community together. He nodded with a weak smile, but the pit in his stomach remained. As they parted ways, Caleb decided he needed a little extra motivation. He took a long walk around the town, absorbing the vibrant signs of life. Children played in the park, couples walked hand in hand, and laughter echoed through the streets. He stopped at the local bookshop that had a community board, full of flyers for events. With a deep breath, he hung his own flyer there, neatly scrawled with details of the upcoming celebration. "Here goes nothing," he murmured to himself, lingering a heartbeat longer. But just as he turned to leave, he heard a voice behind him. "Hey, Caleb, is this your event?" He turned to see Mrs. Jensen, an elderly woman from the neighborhood, peering at the flyer. "I love community gatherings. I can bring my famous brownies." Caleb couldn't help it. A smile spread across his face. That would be fantastic. From that moment, something shifted. Their conversation swirled around ideas and possibilities, and soon others joined in, adding their thoughts and enthusiasm. As people gravitated toward the flyer, exchanging ideas and stories about the upcoming event, Caleb's heart swelled with a joyful warmth. By the time he left the bookshop, he felt a spark igniting inside him. Ideas blossomed and possibilities swirled. Maybe, just maybe, this event could be something special. Later that evening, back at home, Caleb spread out a large piece of paper on the dining table. He sketched out ideas, scribbling notes as they flowed. Music, laughter, connections. It made sense, feeling like a call to action. But that night, lying in bed, doubts crept back in. What if the community turned their backs? What if he was setting himself up for failure? Just as he closed his eyes, he heard a soft knock at his door and saw Tom standing there. "Hey man, couldn't he sleep? No. Wanna talk?" Caleb hesitated but quickly realized that couldn't he hurt. "Yeah, I guess I could use a friend right now." They spent the night hashing out ideas, their laughter filling the room as they imagined a successful event. Yet beneath it all, Caleb felt the undercurrents of uncertainty still tugging at him. As Tom left, Caleb looked at the wall filled with scribbles and sketches. The excitement mixed with tension made his pulse quicken. This was the moment he'd been waiting for. But would it truly unfold as he dreamed? Outside, the night sky shimmered with stars, and he felt that familiar stirring in his heart. Something remarkable was coming, but was he ready to embrace it? What would it take to pull the community together, or would his hopes flicker out before they could ignite? The next morning brought a different kind of excitement. Caleb woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. The sun peeked through the curtains, casting a warm glow that felt like an encouraging embrace. He was ready to dig deep into the planning and rally the neighborhood around their shared vision. After quickly devouring breakfast, he grabbed his flyer and headed out the door. Today, he decided to take a more proactive approach. Instead of waiting for people to come to him, he would go to them. He envisioned a series of mini-gatherings in backyards and local parks, where he could share the event details and gather support in a more personal way. Caleb started with his neighbor, Mr. Young, who loved gardening and had a knack for storytelling. When he mentioned the community event, Mr. Young's eyes lit up. "I could set up a little booth about heirloom plants, share some tips. And my daughter can help with face painting for the kids." Caleb's heart lifted at the thought. "That sounds great. And your daughter would be such an attraction." Encouraged by the conversation, he moved on to other houses, describing the event's vision, and each door opening brought another spark of creativity. Mrs. Tran next door offered to host a small drum circle, and the Johnsons down the block, longtime residents known for their barbecue, instantly volunteered to provide food. With every new idea, Caleb felt his dreams expand. He could visualize it, the buzz of laughter, the sound of music. It might become a day that everyone loved, a day where the community reconnected. But he also felt the tightness in his chest, the doubt. Would these conversations translate into real commitment, or would he be let down? By early afternoon, he returned home, a head bursting with ideas and a heart pleasantly pounding. After a quick lunch, he opened his laptop and began crafting a detailed plan. He wanted to create an online group where everyone could communicate, share responsibilities, and keep the momentum alive. He started drafting emails to those he had spoken to. As he typed, Caleb felt a strange mix of excitement and terror. What if they decided not to engage? He mentally scolded himself. It was time to believe in this community, in each other. As he clicked send, his phone buzzed again. It was Clara. "Hey, do you want to meet at the cafe later? I want to brainstorm more ideas." Another rush of elation surged through him. "Sure," he typed back. Meeting her felt like a lifeline. She understood this vision more than anyone. When he arrived at the cafe, Clara waved him over, her expression bright with enthusiasm. "Have you heard? I spoke to Hannah at the bakery. She wants to donate pastries for the event." Caleb grinned. "That's awesome. Just think about how sweet the event will be. It's really coming together." But then he remembered the nagging thought. What if... He paused, searching for the right words. What if it's not enough? What if all these people pull back? Clara tilted her head, her brow furrowing as she studied him. "You need to see this, Caleb. The more people we gather, the more energy we create. People want to be a part of something. They want connection just like you do." Her words echoed in his mind. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps they could truly pull together. They spent the next hour sketching out ideas, and by the end of it, Caleb felt lighter. Each suggestion was a thread, bringing the community closer. Yet, in the back of his mind, a whisper of doubt remained. What would happen when the big day came? As they stood up to leave, Caleb's heart raced again. He needed to solidify these commitments, gather everyone and make them understand how important they all were to this event. Just as they stepped out, Clara paused, a glint of something in her eye. "Oh, before I forget, my cousin wanted to know if he could bring his band to perform. What do you think?" Caleb's breath caught. "A band? That would be incredible. But do we even have space?" "Caleb," she laughed lightly, "it's our event. We can create the space." He met her eyes and sensed an unspoken promise. They were transforming a dream into reality, together. But as they walked down the street, an uncomfortable wave washed over him. What if their efforts fell flat? What if all this planning led to disappointment? A few blocks later, he stopped and turned to Clara. "Do you really think we can make this work? Can we really rally everyone?" The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Caleb's heart raced as he absorbed Clara's thoughtful expression. Her eyes sparkled with conviction, but the weight of his worries bore down on him like a heavy fog. "I mean, it all sounds amazing, but what if the day of the event everyone has something better to do? What if they back out?" His voice faltered. Clara stepped closer, her gaze steady. "That's fear talking. You need to focus on the love and energy you're putting out there. If you believe in this, others will follow. Remember, it's not just about the event. It's about bringing people together." Her words resonated with him, but doubt still lingered. "You're right. I really want this to work. I want everyone to feel how important it is to connect." As they walked through the heart of the neighborhood, the soft hum of daily life surrounded them. Children laughed as they played, and clinking glasses from a nearby bistro hinted at the afternoon crowd. Caleb felt the pulse of the community, yet that tight knot of anxiety remained. "Look," Clara said, breaking the silence, "let us meet with everyone this week. Let us remind them why this matters. We need to draw from that energy before it fades." Caleb nodded, feeling the warmth of her resolve seep into him. "Yeah, a group meeting could really help. If we can stand together, maybe it will spark something in all of us." They devised a plan to create a casual gathering at the park, inviting everyone who had shown interest. "We'll bring snacks, a few games, and make it a fun, low-pressure environment," Clara suggested. With a clearer vision taking shape, Caleb felt hope blooming. The idea of a community coming together easily painted a vibrant image in his mind. He could almost hear the excited chatter and laughter. But still, he worried. The truth was, what if no one showed up? That thought clung to him like a shadow. As they finished their brainstorming session, Clara threw in one last suggestion. "How about we make a video? Just a quick one, inviting everyone. What do you think?" Caleb's heart leaped. "I love that. It will feel personal and engaging." They walked over to her car, the excitement building. With Clara behind the camera and Caleb taking the lead, he took a deep breath, mentally preparing himself. "Hey, everyone. We're putting together something special for all of us, a neighborhood event." Caleb began, his voice shaky but rising with confidence. He spoke excitedly about food, music, and activities, urging everyone to join in on the fun. As he spoke, he felt the words energizing him, slowly melting away his fears. After they finished recording, Clara smiled broadly. "That was fantastic. You really brought the vibes." He felt a mix of nervousness and triumph. "I just hope it reaches people. I hope they feel the same excitement we do." The next few days passed in a whirlwind of anticipation. They shared the video on social media, and as notifications flooded in, Caleb's heart raced with every ping. People were responding, sharing their interest, and even offering to bring supplies. It was an overwhelming wave of support, yet Caleb's anxiety continued to bubble beneath the surface. What if all this energy was just a facade? What if, when the day arrived, only a handful showed up? On the night before the gathering, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, anxiety tightening around his chest. Clara's words echoed in his mind, urging him to trust in the connection they were fostering. With each tick of the clock, time seemed to taunt him. He couldn't shake the nagging fear. Would their dreams dissolve into disappointment? But just as sleep threatened to pull him under, his phone buzzed a message from Clara. "I'm excited about tomorrow. Remember, we're in this together." A smile crept onto his face as he typed back, "Yeah, together. Let us do this." As he drifted off, the weight of uncertainty began to lift, replaced with a flicker of hope. Tomorrow held promise. But as dawn broke, Caleb found himself staring at a critical decision. What if he faced his fears head-on? Would that make a difference? Would he earn his place in this community that meant so much to him? He stood in front of the mirror, taking a deep breath, ready to discover if he could transform his jitters into momentum. The thrilling question hung in the room: could he really ignite a spark that brought everyone together? Caleb woke up to the soft light of the morning filtering through the curtains. He could hear the world outside bustling to life, the chirping of birds mixing with distant laughter from children. Today was the day. Today held the promise of connection, community, and potential. Despite the lingering anxiety, a surge of adrenaline pushed him into action. He dressed quickly, the warm fabric of his favorite sweater making him feel a little more secure. The bathroom mirror reflected a mix of nervous excitement and determination. "You got this," he whispered to his reflection. Caleb made his way to the kitchen, the smell of fresh coffee kissing his senses awake. His mother was already brewing a pot. She turned to him, her eyes lighting up. "Nervous about today, honey?" "Just a bit," he admitted, pouring himself a generous cup. "But I think it's going to be great." She offered a reassuring smile, one full of warmth and understanding. "Just remember to be yourself. People will appreciate that. You don't need to be perfect, only real." His heart fluttered at her words. Encouraged, he took a deep breath, letting her advice sink in. He grabbed a quick breakfast before heading out. When he arrived at the park, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The sun shone brightly, casting a golden glow over the picnic tables as Clara set up. She was arranging snacks and drinks with a radiant smile that could light up the entire space. "Hey, superstar," she called out, waving him over. "Excited?" "More than I thought I would be," he replied, excitement starting to claw its way up from his gut, pushing the anxiety aside. As they set everything up, more faces started to appear. Neighbors arrived with smiles and laughter, arms laden with food and games. Caleb couldn't shake the thrill coursing through him. Each new arrival felt like a victory, each familiar laugh cutting through his fears like sunlight. "Look at us, Caleb. They're here." Clara gestured toward the growing crowd. He couldn't help but grin, feeling the warmth of community wrap around him like a cherished blanket. People were mingling, chatter and laughter filling the air, transforming that once quiet park into a vibrant hub of connection. But as he glanced around, unease crept in again. What if no one stayed? What if they all left feeling unsatisfied? He shook his head, trying to clear the doubts. Clara caught him looking troubled. "Don't think like that. Just breathe and enjoy," she encouraged, stepping closer. Caleb nodded, forcing a grin. As the first games kicked off, laughter erupted and it flowed like a melody around him. He joined in, participating in a three-legged race that sent children tumbling with laughter. Each moment's joy pushed away his worries. Then he felt a tap on his shoulder. Turning, He was surprised to see Mrs. Johnson, the elderly lady who lived 2 doors down, holding her famous blueberry pie. "I brought this for everyone," she said, her voice warm and inviting. "It's a community and this is what we do." Caleb's heart swelled. Here was the essence of everything he had hoped for, a community coming together, sharing joy and connections. Just as he began to relax fully into the moment, a loud shout interrupted the revelry. "Hey, I want to play." It was a familiar voice, but Caleb's blood ran cold. That voice belonged to Jared, the neighborhood bully. A wave of nervous energy washed over him. What if this was the disruption that ruined everything? Would Jared bring negativity or embarrassment? Would he spoil the magic of what had started to develop that day? With his heart pounding, Caleb turned to Clara for support. Her gaze held his firmly, projecting confidence. "We've got this, remember? This is about togetherness." As Caleb processed her words, he realized what he needed to do. Could he stand up to Jared and protect this fragile community they had built? The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Could he really turn this day into something beautiful despite the storm on the horizon? Caleb's heart pounded, a mix of fear and determination coursing through him as he squared his shoulders. "I've got to step up," he realized. He took a deep breath, calmed by the laughter and warmth surrounding him. This was his moment, a chance for change, not just for him but for everyone watching. "Jared," Caleb called out, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside. The laughter around them faltered briefly as the tall figure turned, eyebrows raised in surprise. Caleb marched forward, his resolve hardening with every step. "If you want to join in, we'd love to have you." Jared's smirk faded slightly. "Seriously?" "Yeah," Caleb replied, his voice gaining strength. "We're here to have fun, and the more the merrier. You should stick around." The crowd whispered, eyes flickering between them. Caleb felt fear wash over him like an icy wave, but he stood firm. Jared shifted, caught off guard. "Fine, I guess I could help." A murmur of surprise rippled through the crowd, and Caleb felt a pulse of hope. Maybe today would be different. Maybe they could all connect despite their differences. "Great, we're playing capture the flag next. Maybe you could lead a team?" he suggested. Jared glanced at the nearby group of kids, hesitating before finally nodding. "Sure, led away." As the game unfolded, fresh energy ignited the park in a whirl of laughter and cheers. Caleb moved with a lightness he hadn't felt before, sharing glances of joy with Clara as they joined teams to chase each other around. The echoes of joy transcended any remnants of discomfort, binding the community tighter with every passing moment. At one point during the game, Caleb found himself face to face with Jared, racing for the same flag. In an unexpected show of camaraderie, they collided, landing in a heap of laughter on the ground. "Guess I'm not as slow as you thought," Caleb chuckled, rolling onto his side. "Guess not," Jared replied, chuckling as well. In that moment, they broke the barrier that had once defined their history. The whole team rallied around them, cheering on the clash, and Caleb saw a glimmer of acceptance reflected in Jared's eyes, a glimpse of the connections forming, building into what this day was truly about. As the sun hung low in the sky and the first notes from a nearby band floated over the crowd, Caleb stepped back for a moment, soaking it all in. Families, friends, neighbors, they were all together, united. The laughter rang clear, rich and full. The buzz of joy wrapped around him, and something deep within stirred. "Hey, Caleb," Clara called, waving him over. He joined her and they looked around at their neighbors dancing, sharing stories and laughter. "We did it," she said, her eyes bright with joy. Caleb's heart swelled. "We really did," he smiled back, and for the first time he felt truly seen by those around him. The lazy boy was becoming part of something so much greater. As the day melted into evening, friends and strangers alike gathered around the makeshift stage Clara and he had set up, with different acts sharing their talents, showcasing their stories. Each act unfolded like a tapestry of resilience, patching together voices that spoke of overcoming hardship and thriving as community. Caleb felt that heaviness in his heart lift, replaced by pure joy. When it was his turn to speak, he took a deep breath. Standing at the front, The flicker of connection in everyone's eyes enlivened him. Thank you all for being here, for believing in this. Together, we created something magical. This isn't just a one-time event, it's just the beginning. Together, we can keep this spirit alive. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Caleb could finally let go of all his doubts. They were venturing forward, stronger as a unit. Not just a town, but a real community. As the night stars blanketed the sky, he found Clara by his side. You were fearless today, she said with a smile. I'm so proud of you. Caleb smiled back, the lightness of his heart mirroring the stars above. Thank you for believing in me, Clara. I've truly transformed this month. With a burst of laughter, they took one last look at the still joyous crowd, and he knew, right then, that he was no longer the lazy boy. He was a vital thread in the fabric of this community, woven as deeply and brightly as the stories they had shared that day. This was the moment he had longed for, the transformation he had fought for. And as he stood there, the warmth extending from each smiling face around him, he couldn't help but feel that his life was marked by this connection, this newfound purpose. It was time to keep this spirit alive, and he couldn't wait to see where it would lead. Now, here's where you come in. If this story resonated with you, you need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and show your support for more inspiring transformations. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let's connect. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support means the world. Let's keep the momentum going.